Okay, good evening. Yeah, good evening from here. And I hope everyone is doing well. Okay, so today I want to continue with what we did, what I sent you the other time. That was the part one. But I want to send the part two to you in terms of writing a scientometric review paper. Okay, so just a brief recap of some of the things I mentioned. I told you that with scientometric review paper, you need more articles. And I mentioned 200, 300, 400, 500, 1,000. Above that, they are okay. Anything below 200, 100 papers, I will suggest you use systematic literature review approach to look at the existing literature that you want to work on. So that's the first one. Then I also mentioned in the last video that if you want to analyze the scientometric data, which is also called the bibliometric data, or others also call it bibliographic data, you have to use one of the softwares which will make your work easy or easier, to make your work very easy compared to doing it manually. So one of the softwares that you can go for is Voice Viewer. I mentioned BibTeX and the rest, ScienceBase, and other ones. I mentioned them. So the one that I introduced you to the last time we had, or the last time I sent this video to you was the Voice Viewer. And I think the Voice Viewer is easy to use. You can learn the other ones later on. As time goes on, when you start writing your papers and you become okay with the Voice Viewer and even the scientometric review in general, then you can go ahead and pick other software as well. Okay, then I also mentioned that this whole scientometric thing, the terms bibliographic or bibliometric and scientometric, they are used interchangeably. Actually, they all come under what we call science mapping. They all come under science mapping. And in science mapping, there are three categories of issues, or I would say subsections, that come under science mapping. They are bibliometric, scientometric, and informatics. But mostly, I showed you that most studies use the terms scientometric and bibliometric interchangeably. Just that with the bibliometric, it tends to have to focus only on the mathematical aspect of it, more of the quantitative aspect. And then the visualization. Visualization is the presentation. Simple meaning of visualization or demonstration of your data. So the two of them are used interchangeably, with the exception of the informatics, which in a way, the informatics also come in with respect to when you are writing the literature review paper. So a simple meaning of informatics is the study of the structure, behavior, and interactions of natural and engineered computational systems. Okay, so which the Voice Viewer software, which was invented by a professor in, I think he's in Netherlands or so. Let me check the name. Let me check the name for you. His name is there. Let me get the name for you. They invented it, and according to what I read somewhere, actually they were like PhD students. They were just students and decided to put something together to analyze their data, and that's how come they came about this Voice Viewer. And good, that's the name, Nes Jan van Eyck. Nes Jan van Eyck. is in Leiden University Center for Science and Technology, which I think Leiden will be in where? Sweden? Leiden or Netherlands, one of them. So, which country? Netherlands, right? Okay. Yeah, so this person and his friends, they came about this voice viewer thing. And the voice viewer embraced the informatics, scientometric, bibliometric, all these things are infused or they are in it. So once you pick the voice viewer software and you are using it, actually you are doing everything related to science mapping. Okay, good. So I explained this thing to you the other time. And then I also introduced you to 3 papers, which I mentioned, the 3 papers, yeah, 3 papers I sent to you almost about 2 weeks ago, which I told you to start reading. Then I decided to focus on 2 of them. And then I narrowed or I brought the whole thing down to one of them, one of the papers, which I started using, which is Wuni's paper. Actually, Wuni's paper, I wrote the other paper, which is the risk management on PPP project, the Scientometric review paper. Actually, that was the time I have started learning how to write Scientometric review paper. And at that time, Wuni has published this paper. So actually, I got to know, or I actually followed everything with this paper put out there. So it's almost like most of the things which you can see in this paper, they are somehow also almost the same thing in my paper. Kind of at that time, that was the time I was learning. So I didn't know so many things. I was just following. Yeah, so kind of you see some similarities over there, kind of. Yeah, so I introduced you to this paper. And I started by looking at the methodology session, which I told you that anytime you want to write any paper, including even a full empirical paper, the first thing that you have to think about is the methodology. Because within the methodology that you get to know the kind of data that you are supposed to write the paper, the kind of data analysis tool, after you have collected the data, how you are going to analyze the data is the methodology session that you have to establish all these things. So to me, I know other approaches are okay. I know some people start their research by first writing the introduction and then they come to literature review before they come to the methodology, go to findings and all that. It's good. I'm not against how people write their papers. But to me, to make things easier for you, to make it so easy for you, I think you have to start from the methodology session, because when you get to know the data that you are using and the method that you are using, it's so easy. The other things will just come in. That's how I see it. The papers I've written and my experience and all that, I think that's the best approach. So I started with you from the methodology session where I introduced you and I explained to you how this paper was designed. So we normally got a research design. So when you hear the word research design, that's the meaning. So how this paper was designed, I took you through. I read some portions of this paper, and then I explained them to you. Okay, so I took you through all the steps. Then I went ahead to introduce you to one of the findings or one of the results, which is the annual publication trend. I introduced you to this thing as well. Okay, so in case you have a question, please feel free to contact me. Okay, just contact me and ask me, Isaac, I've done this, I've read this, and I think I need some kind of explanation here. And I will come in and support you. Now let's go on to the next analysis which the paper presented. Okay, so once again, my aim is to take you through some of these things so that you understand it. The aim is to understand. The understanding is the most important thing. In fact, if you are going to write a paper and you understand what you are going to do, in fact, you have captured, to me, you have captured about 60 to 80%. You have solved 60 to 80% of the problem. You really, really, really understand what you are going to do, what you are doing. 60 to 80% of the problem has already been solved. So I believe that some of these videos that I have been putting together for you, they are important. If you watch them and you understand this whole thing, it will take you to places. Other things will just fall in place. You'll just fall in line. So make sure you take these videos seriously. Now we go to the next one. So I explained the annual publication trend to you. Science mapping of research outlets. In other words, it's just we other papers, when you read them, they also say journal analysis. It's the same. So what is this session about? And once again, I told you that almost all the things that we did with respect to the systematic review, you will see almost the same thing. And to me, is the same. Just the only thing that is being done here is this kind of visualization with the diagram from the voice viewer software I introduced you to last time. And then some of these things like the results. Okay, something like this, which I'm going to show you very soon. Okay, so what do you do? So when you are writing this section, what is the journals? In other words, which journals published papers on green buildings? So this is how you use the research outlets, which is the same as the research journals. Constitute one of the main platforms for disseminating academic publications, developments, and innovations. For innovation, these outlets publish articles within defined scopes and boundaries. Identifying the key journals in green building research is a good starting point to systematically map the research trends in the field. In Figure 3, citations networks of 14 top construction journals that publishes green building research articles are shown. These research outlets had published at least 5 green building research articles and achieved at least 20 citations. These were specified in the process of generating the network. Although this threshold is different from previous scientometric analysis, the combination was regarded as sufficient because the previous reviews use an even lower combination of restrictions. Besides, there are no standards guiding the selection of documents and citation quantities. A detailed quantitative summary of the network is shown. Good. So, in fact, he has said almost everything that I wanted to say. The first one is, you tell us why this analysis is important. Why are you presenting this analysis to us? You need to tell us. So he has done that. And then you go ahead to tell us the diagrams concerning the research outlet or the journals, how you came about this diagram. How did you get this? And upon what basis or criteria did you use to achieve this? Okay, so I'm going to take you to the voice viewer again, and we are going to use the data that I showed you the other time. I'm going to show you the data. Okay, voice viewer. Okay, just give me a minute. Let's show them. Okay. So I'm opening the software, and in my first video, the other video, I told you that if you want to get this voice software, just come Google voice viewer. Just Google this, and then you come here, you go to downloads, you download and you install. It's so easy, so simple, and it's free too. You don't need to have to pay any money, or you don't need to have to pay anything. It's free. Okay, so where is it? Is it open yet? Okay, now yeah, I have it. So I will go to what we did the other time, where I told you here you select create a map based on bibliographic data, and then you click on read data from bibliographic database files. You click on next, and you choose your data. In this case, we downloaded the data from Scopus. Okay. Then you look for where you save your Scopus database. Then based on that, I think it came to the downloads, if I'm not wrong. It was this one, I think so. Then you click on next. This is what I showing to you the other time, that database. So it's reading. Okay, still reading. I'm just trying to close some of my tabs. Open so many tabs. I just have to close some of them so that things to make things easier for all of us. Okay. The analysis. I'm done. Let me go back. Okay, now it's open. Okay, so in order to get to know the journals, okay, you won't find it under the type of analysis of co-authorship. Rather, you find it under citation or bibliographic coupling, or you can find it at co-authorship. But mostly it's between citation and bibliographic coupling. The reason why we will find that, and the name is called sources, which is another name for journals is sources. In other words, where we get the data from. Okay, where we are taking the articles from. We are taking them from the journals, and the journals here become the sources. So you get them from here. Why? Because normally journals are associated with a citation. It's journals that you cite. It's journals that you point out that, okay, they publish so and so articles. It's the avenue or a place where we look up to if we want to get to know anything concerning a subject. Okay, so documents, sources, authors, organizations, and countries. So which one do you choose? We are interested in the sources. So you choose the sources, then you click on next. So if you remember, he made mention of something which I want to take you back to what he said. He said that in figure 3, citations of 14 top construction journals that publishes green building research articles. When you are doing this analysis with the software, there's no way the software will show you only about 3 or 4 journals. It will show you many journals. Let's assume I'm going to select all of these. Like we want to see journals that publish at least one article on this green building thing. So if it is 1, that means I'm selecting. So if it's 1, it means 414. We have 414 journals related to the data that I downloaded. And their names are here: Sustainability Building, Journal of Cleaner Production, Energy and Building, Building and Environment, Journal of Building Engineering, Renewables, Sustainable Energy, Research, Energies, and all that. So we are talking about 414. So the question is, are you supposed to present all the 414? The answer is no, we are not supposed to present all the 414. That is why he mentioned that the figure shows, or the figure is representing 14 top construction journals. And how did he get a 14? Why didn't he present all, let's say, the 414? Or if you are using a larger data, you get more. You can even get 1,000 plus journals. Why didn't he present all of them? He didn't do that because, one, it is not even advisable. And no journal will accept you presenting 1,400 and something journals in a table on a table. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So it's good you present the very topmost ones, the topmost ones. So 14. And how did he arrive at the 14? These outlets had published at least 5. So this is how he did it. So he limited this search. Okay, you let me finish this and show you all the 14 before I come back. I'll come back again. I want to show you all the 414 articles. So if you are going to present this, it's going to be some way. So this is how the articles are going to be like. Have you seen it? So this is how it's going to show. Well, you can decide to show it. That's fine. Because somebody also want to, you can do that. It's up to you. Later on, he will say something and it will confirm or support what I just said. You can decide to show all, but to me, it's not advisable to show all. Show the ones which are prominent. You can decide to show all these things. Nobody will penalize you for that. Because this is coming in the form of a diagram, which is JNG or JNP or something, is acceptable. But when it comes to the presentation in terms of the table, you can't show all the 414. Therefore, it's advisable you limit it to a certain number and then you show it. So the question that somebody will ask is, so Isaac, are you supposed to follow a certain criteria in order to come about the topmost articles, the topmost journals? The answer is that one, normally the software has put in what we call a default limit. So let me show you. With respect to this one, with respect to this, the journal, the software already has put the default to 5. I think 5. Yeah, let me go there. Let me show you. Yeah, 5. So the minimum number of documents that we want to include in this analysis is 5. That means a journal must have at least published 5 articles on green buildings before we can consider that journal to be part of this analysis. Okay, and if we do that, then out of the 414 journals that the papers are coming from, 40 journals will meet that threshold. You can decide to go for, you can decide to use this. But once again, the problem is that if you're going to use this, the problem is that the 40 to me is still too big. So you can decide to increase the threshold. Once you increase the threshold, you see that the number will be coming down. So let me make it 10. So if you make it 10, that means 15 journals will meet, which I think is okay. So we want a journal, or we want journals that published at least, or have published a minimum of 10 journal articles on green buildings. Okay, so if it is 10, I click on next, and this is how. So this is so simple, and this is easy to present or show in your article, instead of presenting that long list of 414 or 70 or 40 or so. I think this is okay. So the question is, how do you export this? How do you export this? So this is how you export it. You put your cursor on it anywhere, then you right click, and then you click on export selected. In fact, all of them have been selected. If you don't want to select all of them and you want to select some of them, this is how you go about it. If I decided not to select this one, I click on this, it's unselected. But if I decide to select, I mean, already the software has already selected all of them for me. But if in case there are some of them that I don't want to show them, I can click enough this box and the thing will select or deselect unselected for me. Okay. Click on export. Okay, then you have to save it. So normally it's good you save it as a text file. You can also decide to save it as comma separated values, which is normally comma separated values are normally related to Excel. But you can also decide to save it as a text file, which you can copy and put it in an Excel. Any of them is acceptable how you want to save it. Okay, save. Where do you want to save it? You need to find a place to save it. In other words, you need to have, so in this work, we are, let me give you where I want to save this. I have a folder for this work, which is, I have a special folder which I've created. This is sustainable. Bibliographic, one of them. Yeah, bibliometric review. So that's the name that I have. Then this is journals. Just give it a name. Then you save. So let me come to where I've saved this thing. You see that when you come, you see it, journal saved. Then you open it. Okay, you know, yeah, can be like this one. Then you copy the text file, you copy, and then if you then you open an Excel. Two things, as I said, you can decide to save it in CSV file, which I'm going to show it to you as well. So open a blank space or a blank sheet, working book or workbook, and then just come and copy and come and paste your work here. So the thing is copied, and you see that the same thing that we saw. Yeah, you see it's the same. Is it not the same here, right? So we have the total length strength. We have the number of citations from each journal, and then also the number of documents that the journals published or have published. Okay, so at this point, you can rearrange this. You can rearrange based on the number of documents that they have published, or you can rearrange based on citation. But normally, I rank them based on the total length strength. Okay, so what is total length strength? Let's look at it. What's the meaning? I have my explanation for that, but what is the meaning? Okay, yeah. So what is the meaning? The total length strength attribute indicates the total strength of the co-authorship links of a given researcher with other research. In other words, it shows the collaboration. In addition to the standard links, the total items can also be okay. So it shows the kind of collaboration, or in this case, I would say the interrelationships between the subject matter, which in this case can be the teams, can be sub-teams, can be some words, outputs, statements, which are related in terms of one journal to another journal. If it is in terms of, you are looking at it from the context of an author, maybe you take somebody like Gosway, how Gosway relates, his relationship. If we take one person like Gosway is now related to somebody like Jacinta, Franklina, Samuel, and all that. Why? Because they are all working together. That's how they are related. Or in another thing too that is relating you guys is that you are all in the same department. So the question, we want to know how the link, just like the coupling, how is it like relationship, normal, I mean, the relationship, marriage relationship thing. How strong, we want to see how strong you are with your partner, with your wife, with your husband, with your girlfriend, with your boyfriend, with your father, with your mother, with your mates in school, with your co-worker. That is the meaning of total length So the thing even is self-explanatory. Okay, total length strength, the kind of the words, the statements, the output out there, how are they related? That is the aim of this total length strength. And the bigger or the higher the total length strength, the better. Okay, so personally, I like to, but I also see studies where people arrange it based on the citations, the number of citations, because the number of citations also have a way of also telling us the impact of the impact of the journal and then the articles that they published or they publish. So for example, here, clearly, I can say cleaner production, if you are looking at it from the journal point of view in terms of citations, cleaner production is on top. And when you are even explaining, you have to talk about something like that. Okay, so that's one way of saving it by text file. You can also save it, as I said, you can also save by using CSV. Then, okay, when you go there, it has already been saved. Oh, it's also saved, well, anyway. It's supposed to save as CSV, but I don't know why I didn't do it. But any of them that it will save for you, whether CSV or anything, when you open it, you can turn them into the normal Excel, and then you work on it. But normally, personally, I save it with a text file, text document, and that one way. Any of them. So we have this. We will do further analysis to this in the Excel sheet later on. Okay, maybe very soon I'll put it that way and show you how to go about it. So I have these 14, then I want to show it. He said out of even the 14 is out of the 15, even 14 of them are the ones which are really, really related. One of them is an outlier, not liar, which I also work on it very soon in terms of some of the statistics that we are going to work on with respect to our empirical papers. So what can you see from here? So you can see that these journals are related. Okay, so how do you know their strength? So when you put a cursor on the bubble, just look at down here. It will show you. So here, one, we are seeing clusters. In other words, the journals, the 14 journals come in groups. In other words, there are some of them that they work together very well, extremely well, even they are linked, but some of them work together very well and they are in the same group. In other words, they almost publish the same thing, or they have something together. Something together, it could be the in terms of the authors. It could be geographical context, which means these journals are found in, let's say, in UK, and in UK they publish things on green buildings with respect to UK or Europe, the Europe continent in general, something. So later on, you can figure out the cluster. What is common about them? You can figure it out yourself, which is also one of the things that you need to know in terms of explaining some of these outcomes. So if you want to know the clusters, you come to items and give you. So we have 4 clusters. So in terms of building and environment, for example, in cluster 1, it has a total length strength of 24. And 29 out of that journal, 29 articles have come out. Okay, 29 articles have come out. And the journal has how many links? 7. This journal is related to 7 other journals. What is common? What is linking this journal to? Once again, you need to find out. You have to find out. Maybe they are all about buildings. Maybe they are all about sustainability. Maybe they are about energy, or as I mentioned earlier, maybe they are all about something geographical. So you need to find out what is linking them. Okay, good. So we have this, And then you can decide to choose this is a network lens. You can also decide to look at it from the overlay perspective point of view, which is the same actually. Okay, but this one will give you more in terms of trying to show you over the years how the papers have been growing. Okay, that's why this thing comes here down here. And then the density is going to give you, it's also going to give you this kind of presentation, which also make it visible, very visible for you to see which journals are doing well and which ones are not. And once again, the bubbles will show. The one which come with a very big bubble show that they have a larger influence or a greater influence over the other ones. We'll see them very soon. So, okay, that part is explained. Let's keep going so that we can get this thing done. I'll explain some of them, and it is almost the same thing that is going to run through all of them. So please forgive me. I will not explain everything. Some of them I'll just briefly introduce you to them because the same mindset, the same idea, the same approach is used for the other analysis down there. Okay, so let's come here. So these research outlets are published at least. So he rather decided to use 5 instead of me using 10. He used 5 articles and achieved at least 20 citations. Okay, good. So another thing too that he did was that he didn't only, let me take you back again to show you something. Apart from the default, I'm going to show you something. Yeah, apart from the default of 5, he decided to add the citations to it. So it's not only journals showing or publishing at least 5 documents. The document must have also received at least 20 citations. So you can add that, or you can decide to leave it blank. To me, it's better you leave it blank because sometimes the paper just got published. Okay, especially if it's a new area and you're trying to do a review about it. The possibility that most of the papers were published last year, even early this year or 2021 is, I mean, it's very high. That possibility is very high. And because it's very high, if you are going to show articles which have been published in by saying that they need to have so and so citations before they be included, then you won't get any of the journals showing any of the articles because it may happen that none of them will meet that criteria. So once again, which he mentioned this, I want to say this before I continue. The last one, besides, there are no standards guiding the selection of documents and citation quantities. There is no standard. You decide what is okay for you. There's no standard. And he's right. I've read a number of papers on scientometric review, and people use their own criteria to arrive at some of these results. So there is a little bit of bias in there, and you have to acknowledge this bias when you are concluding your article. So at the conclusion session, you need to state that some of these biases are there where people decide to use their own discretion to select. Even though it should be reasonable, but still, that bias is there. There's that kind of bias is from there. Okay, let's keep on going. So I'm going to do what he did. So 20. So what will happen? So if I'm going to use 20, then what is going to happen is out of the 414 sources or the journals, 26 will meet this threshold, which to me is still a big. So I would like to make the documents to be 10. Even with, okay, the 10, that's cool. Good. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. And I'll get the same results. That's why, to me, it's not even, you don't need to worry yourself about the citation. You can just decide to use a document by moving it. Let's decide to show the two of them. That's fine. Okay, so we have this, and I believe now you understand how this thing was done. Okay, so the 14 top journals, these, but you can also make yours 20. It's not always the case that it should be 14 top journals or 15 top journals. It can be 20, it can be 30, 40, 15, 5, 8. Here you have to decide. These were specified in the process of generating the network, good, which I've done with you. although this threshold is different from previous scientometric analysis. So even his approach, how he selected the citations and the documents and he arrived at the results is different from what others have done in the past. The combination was regarded as sufficient because the previous reviews used an even lower combination of restrictions. That's it. So he used five articles, 20 citations for a journal to be included in this analysis. But he is saying that even there are some studies that use something lower, maybe 2 against maybe 10 citations. So once again, it depends on you. And I think what will determine some of these things is the volume. Yeah, the volume of the data. Because if you are dealing with about 2,000 bibliographic data, the possibility that the number of journals that published the 2,000 articles will far go beyond the one I've just shown to you. So in that case, you are going to have a lot of journals. And because you're going to have a lot of journals, then you have to use a higher criteria in order to reduce the selection to a point where you can easily get them done. So that you don't end up getting about 50 or 20 top articles. Even 20 to me is even too high. 20 is fine, but it's too high still. Yeah, so it all depends on you. Here you are given that freedom to make a choice. So you can see, so it's almost the same thing I have shown to you, similar. It's not the same as similar. And then he has also shown this table. Okay. So the table, let me show you here well, so that this one will be better. This one is not showing well. Yeah, this is the table. Okay. So this table is the same thing here. The number of documents, which is the same as number of articles, is the same. Total citation, good. So here, there are other things that he did, which the software will not give it to you, which I want to show you. So how did he get average citations? So if you want to do the same, please, it is not compulsory we follow exactly what he did, because other studies didn't do that. But in case you want to follow what he has presented, you can decide to present this thing that we got from, we exported from the software directly, and then that's the end of the case, and you start writing about it. That's fine. But if you want to do what he did, this is what he did. He created he got an average citations by dividing the citations divided by the total documents. Total citation divided by the total documents from a journal. And that gave him the average citation. Okay, so that's how he got the average citation. So we have done that one. What again did he show in the table? Average lengths. Lengths. If you want to know the lengths are shown here. This one too was also not shown in the table that we exported. So you have to go and look for it yourself. So how do you get that? So come back to the software. Just put a cursor. The name, what is the name of the first journal? The name of the first journal is Building an Environment. So go and look for Building an Environment. Where is it? Where is Building an Environment? Good. We put a cursor on it, and at the down there, down here, when you put a cursor on it, down there, it will show you the links, which is 7. Okay, then put the links there. That's we can also put it there. So this one, you have to do it manually yourself, one by one. The software will not give it to you if you want to follow what Uni did. But you can choose not to even show this column. Forget about it. We can forget about the link. That one is also done. What again did Uni show in the table? He showed total length strength. Wow. Where can we see this? This one was given to us by the software. So we have this one already. So there's no need for us to work on it. Then he went ahead to show what we called The last one is called average normalization citations. Wow. Where did he get this thing from? Please, I'm showing you all these things because in the subsequent ones, he has done similar things. So I will not waste too much time showing you all that. If I'm going to do that, then we are not going to finish because it's the same. So in order to get the normalized citations, so this is what you have to do. You come here and then you choose on the top right hand corner, you see this weight. You see length, you see total length strength, documentations, citations, and normalization citations. Is that cool? So you click on normalization citation. You click on it. And then once you click on it and you put your cursor on it, it will give you the normalization citation at the down there. So for example, if I'm looking at once again building an environment, when I look at the down there, after total length strength of 24, you can see normalization citation of 61.33. So this one too, you have to do it yourself. Normalization citations, which I'm going to explain all these things very soon. What is the meaning of that? So when I put a cursor on it, it's giving me 61.33. 61.33. Wow. So the next thing to do is that we need to find out average. Okay. He wants us to present, or he wants us to show average normalized citation. How do we get that? So there are two things that you can do to get the average normalized citation. One, you can divide this by the total length strength. You can use that one as a basis to get that. Or you can decide to use the total citations. Sorry. Or you can also decide to use the normalized citations divided by the average citations. Any of them is acceptable, and you need to explain it. Okay? Okay, so that is what he showed in his diagram. But once again, please, it is not the global standard that you have to show all these columns in your work. You can decide to choose, you can choose to present the ones that you export from the software, and that is the end of the story. And you explain it, you move on. Okay, now let me keep on going. Now let me come to the reading or the explanations that he gave to the things that he presented. So after telling us how he arrived at the table and the diagram, he went ahead to say that the map was generated using the source citation network function of SWOT-Viewer, which we know. I've shown you this. He's talking about this, the source. Talking about this one, this here. Type of analysis is citation. The unit of analysis is source. That's what he's talking about. Good. Then, since the two deploy distance-based map, the size of the node generally reflects the impact. Yes, I've explained this one to you as well, that the bigger the node, what is the node? The node is this one. This is what we call node. The bigger the node, the bigger the impact of the item that you are looking at. Okay. So for instance, building an environment, energy and building research information, general cleanup productions have relatively larger nodes than the rest of the research outlet, highlighting the higher impact in green building research publications. I've explained this thing to you already. Closely located research outlets belong to a similar cluster. and the connection lines demonstrate the contemporaneous citation linkages of the research outlet. Good. So another thing too that he's trying to say is that the colors also tell you the cluster. So the ones with green, they belong to one cluster. So let me look at something like cleaner production. Which cluster is cleaner production in? Is in cluster 2. So the green color, all the ones with green nodes and lengths, they are in one cluster. And all the ones with red color and lengths, they are also in another cluster. All the ones with blue and cool, they are in another cluster. All the ones with something like, it looks like yellow, kind of yellow, they're also in another cluster. Okay, and he's saying that it represents how these journals receive similar citations, or people who work on green buildings are likely to search for articles in these. But that case, I can contest. I can contest that. Yes, that as I mentioned, there are many things that link them together. There are many reasons why the journals are linked together. You need to find a reason. You have to find it yourself. It's one of them, but that's not the only thing. These journals mostly get co-cited in green buildings. Yeah. So that's also that thing that you can see. Generally, each journal has connection citation with the 14 other journals. Okay, suggesting that most research articles make references to other green building research articles published in all these journals. Yes. You can't write an article without citing multiple articles from other journals. It's not possible. I can't write an article without citing other people. And I can't say that I'm going to present my article in cleaner production. Therefore, I have to cite only articles from cleaner production. It's not done that way. You have to cite from other journals as well, articles from other journals. For instance, reviews such as Zio and Za, Darko and Chan, Hu and Ku, and Jane, whatever, and the current study cites all these journals in a single study. So he's just trying to tell you the cluster or where some of these things are cited. Okay, because if, let's say, let me show you something. Here is it. Yeah, so if you look at maybe building an environment, you can see that 29 articles. So people who read articles, an article or articles from this journal, they are likely to cite other articles from this journal. So an article like maybe my article, or Jacinta's article, or Samuel's article, or Sebastian's article, if they are in this journal, the possibility that if I read any article on green building and I see another article which has also been published by the same journal, I'm likely to read it and cite it. Kind of cool citation kind of thing. Yeah. So, but in practice, it's not always the case that once I find another article in this journal, then I have to compulsorily cite it. No, that's not how it works. But it's possible. We are just saying it's possible. Also, the research outlets have been grouped into clusters using colors. Okay, this one to have explained it. Each cluster is either related by the scope of green. So this is how the clusters. This is how he explained it, and this is how the clusters came about. He's saying that each cluster is either related by the scope of green building areas or frequency of co-citation in the green building. So he is saying he believes that the journals some journals come under the same cluster because they receive this kind of co-citation. People who cite this journal article from this article from this journal are likely to cite this from this. That's why he has put them together. Or he also believes that they have similar what they have scope. The scope in terms of maybe, let's say, they are looking at energy consumption in relation to green building. Okay, so he also said that they can do something like that. And as I also mentioned, it can also be geographical. Maybe papers from China, or papers from Ghana, or papers from something. You can also fall under that kind of cluster. It's just a group. So what bring people together in a group? For example, in this group, what has brought us together? To write research. I mean, to undertake research and also publish them. That is why we are together. Okay. Some people also come together for another reason. People come together, people form groups for so many reasons. So what is bringing you guys together? And that is what the cluster is showing. Now we move on to the next thing that he said. He said that within the clusters, closely positioned journals have stronger citations linked than those isolated within the cluster. For instance, within the purpose cluster, building information and research, construction management and economics, automation and construction innovation have stronger citation or publication connection relative to proceeding of the institution of civil engineers. Yes, and this one is also true because they are related. They have a kind of relationship. Also, within the cluster of building and environment, energy and building sustainability, the Journal of Civil Engineering and Management have weaker citation connection with the rest of the outlets in the cluster. Yes, he's talking about the groups. It's possible researchers will cite articles coming from journals within one cluster more than the other one coming from other group. What example? I want to give a practical example. It's likely you are, like if you are in Kenya University, it's likely for you to bond well with people within Kenya University or within your university more than people coming from other universities or other groups or other people in other universities. You are in Kenya University, it's highly possible for you to get. I'm not saying it's always the case, please. Let me give that. It's highly that, like if like something like relationship, it's likely it's easy for you to get a partner on campus than to have a partner in UPSC. Okay, I'm not saying, I mean, in practical sense, you can't get, you are in one university, you can't get another person in another university. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying it is highly possible that you can meet your partner on campus than something like that. Yeah. Or if it is even socialization programs and all that, and other maybe things like wildlife society, Red Cross, and other things. It's likely it's easy for you to work with people within the same university more than working with people outside your university. So that's what he's trying to say. So the journals within the clusters, it's possible researchers will cite papers coming from the same cluster compared to citing articles from other cluster. Therefore, they tend to have a strong citation connection compared to those outside that same cluster. Okay, in table 1, there's a strong positive relationship between the total number of articles, total citations, and total link strength, suggesting that each of these indices can be effectively deployed to comparatively measure the productivity and contribution of these outlets. Then he went ahead to compute what we called Pearson product moment correlation coefficient between the average citations and the rest of the indices. We show that there is an insignificant weak negative correlation between average citations and total citations of research, indicating a negative 0.22. The negative here shows that there is an inverse relationship between the two of them. And then also it's weak because it's 0.22. Normally, if you want to get, or if you want to see a strong or stronger relationship between two things that you are comparing, you have to look at it from 0.5 and upwards. Others even put it at 0.7. Anything closer to 0.0 is considered weak, and anything which is If it's 0, it means there's no relationship between the two of them. And if it's 1, it means it's perfect. It's like there's the relationship between them is so strong that it's like 100% perfect and all that. You can look at the interpretation of correlation coefficient, but the question is, how did he arrive at this? Because you will not see some of these analyses in other studies. So he did it. How did he do it? I took my time to look at this. I'm going to show you one. So if you are going to do something like this, I can show you one. Here, you come to, if you have Excel, you can do it in Excel. You look at Excel data analysis. Click on data analysis and you look at the kind of analysis that you want to do, correlation. Then this, then you need to select the input, the thing that you want to analyze. Okay. So these 2 columns, by columns. Yeah, I want to do them by columns. And I want to show the first levels, the document and citation. I just want to look at the relationship between the two. When you finish, you can also look at the relationship between documents and average citations, documents and length, then total length strength. But in his case, he decided to show the correlation between what the average citation, the total number of articles, and then total citations and all that. Okay. Let me keep on going. Then I need to show this. Where do I put it? I can put it somewhere here. Yeah, to make the work so easy for all of us. So this is the results. So the relationship is showing 0.65, which is very strong. There's a strong positive relationship between the documents. Okay, there's a strong positive relationship, which in this guy I can conclude that there's a strong positive relationship between the number of documents and then the number of citations. In other words, the higher the citation, of which the correlation coefficient also shows, the higher the document, the higher it's possible people will cite it. So how do you interpret? You can just search for interpretation of correlation coefficient. Okay, so this is how it's said. A correlation coefficient of 0 indicates that no linear relationship exists between the two things that you are comparing, or the variables that you are trying to compare. And then a correlation coefficient of -1 or negative indicates perfect. If it's 1, then it's perfect. Perfect means it's either negative, they are negatively related, 100% negative, or perfect. The relationship, perfect. Hey, perfect relationship, perfect marriage. Hey, is there perfect marriage? Is there perfect relationship? Anyway, something like that. And the strength of relationship can be somewhere, but normally the fact of the matter, or the fact on the ground, is that we normally experience between the 1 and then the -1 and then the +1. That's what we normally experience. Okay, so you can get something like 0.8, 0.9. So if it's around 0.9, then it's good. Strong, very strong. Strong. 0.7, good. 0.5, 0.55. But anything below 0.5, then it's in that started weakening up. Okay, enough of this. You can also do the same for this and all that. You just do simple Pearson correlation coefficient and you get a resource. So what results did he get again? So he did the first one. He looked at the average citations and the total number of research outlets, which is a document, and he got this. Okay. Then he did, there's also an insignificant weak positive relationship between average citations and total citations. Okay. Then he also did as well as the average citations between the total length strength and this. Please, the P represents probability. Okay, and then the R is the coefficient. Okay, So for example, this 0.1 is showing that it is insignificant. I hope you know how to interpret that as well. Do you know how to do that? We call that one p-value. And when your p-value is less than 0.05, which is 5%, we consider it to be significant. Anything greater than the 0.05, then so like if you have I'm taking to we are doing a little bit of statistics. If your p-value is less than 0.05, then it's significant. It's significant means you have to reject the null hypothesis. In other words, the null hypothesis is not true. You have to reject it. Okay, but if it is greater, if it's greater than 0.05, then yes, if that's true, the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis normally is the generalized or the well-known fact out there. For example, maybe people say all Ghanaians are hardworking. Yeah, so to say all Ghanaians are hardworking. As for Ghanaians, we are so hardworking. Maybe that's what everybody all over the world, that's how they see Ghanaians. Ghanaians are hardworking. But whether that one is true or not, we can test it hypothetically. You do some hypothesis testing. And when you come to a point where your results is showing is more than 0.005, then it's true that Ghanaians are hardworking. But if you get anything which is less than 0.005, that means no. What people have been thinking that Ghanaians are hardworking is actually not true. So if Ghanaians are not hardworking, who are they? Maybe then other things will come in. Ghanaians are murmurous, they mama, they are always complaining, they are corrupt, they are not serious, they don't meet deadlines. And that is what comes. So yeah, so you can do some kind of hypothesis testing with respect to this. So that's what he did. But once again, this cannot be seen in other papers. So in case you are reading other papers, I will encourage you to read other papers as well. When you read this, it's not there, but you can decide to do this because this is a very good paper, which has received a number of citations. It's almost about 200 citations, if I'm not wrong. It's a very good paper because he did it so well. And all these things that he put in, it made the work rich. Okay, effectively, the average impact of a journal is related to the average number of citations, just an explanation. Okay, then he went on to say that based on a number of articles, the top 3 most contributing journals, he explained the things. I believe he went overboard. He explained some of the things too much. To me, he should have gone straight to the point. To me. Yeah, because all these things, once you look at the table, you get to know that these are the top 3. Yeah, just there. Okay. So what did he say? He said that the top 3 most contributing journals include Journal of Cleaner Production, Journal of Green Building, and then as well the Journal of so and so and all that contributed list of publications. So he's looking at it from in terms of the number of articles. However, the order changes significantly in terms of citations. So when it comes to citations, you can also look at this from another. So how do you go about that? You can decide to rearrange the table. So how do you do the rearrangement? Let me show you. I'm taking you step by step because the other ones, I'm saying it again, they are similar to this. So I won't spend too much time there. I won't spend too much time explaining all that to you. Okay, so if you want to rearrange this, you can go to sort and then you click on custom sort. Then you choose the title that you want. So for example, I want to rearrange the journals based on citations. So I want the largest from the largest to the smallest. Then I click OK, and the thing will just arrange it for me. So simple. Okay, so cleaner production comes up, has the highest number of citations,
followed by general building engineering, and others come down there. Then I can also decide to rearrange based on the number of documents. If I want to rearrange based on the number of documents, I'll do the same thing. Come here, choose documents, then largest to the smallest. And then that one is also arranged for me. Then I work on it. If I decide to arrange based on average citations, I can do the same. If I want to arrange based on total length strength, I can do the same. Okay, so cool. That's how you're supposed to go about it. And that's what he explained here. Okay, and I think that was the end. Knowledge of these several measures of impact will guide. And on an annual basis, okay. So yeah, so that's what he has explained here. That's it. So he's done with the journals, and you can see this is comprehensive enough, and anybody who will look at it will see that he did a very good job, and it's very comprehensive. Really, to me, he even went overboard. He went beyond what he was supposed to explain, and he has really given a detailed explanation of this part. So the one who is going to, when I share the work, the one who is going to write this, I will expect 1.5 pages, maximum 2 pages from you. You need to give us a detailed explanation. Okay, I don't want cut and paste. I want understanding, your understanding, and how these journals contribute to the growth of green buildings or whatever topic that we are going to write about. Now we go to the next thing that he presented. And once again, this is also just like the other one that we did. So I will not spend too much time here. And this time around, he's looking at the network of keywords. Okay, so the keywords are essential for indexation of research articles in databases and mostly reflect the theme of research publication. Thus, mapping all keywords within a set of publication could provide a holistic mental map of the knowledge domain or the main research areas of research in the given area. In other words, he has given us an introduction as to why this analysis is important. In figure 4, a co-occurrence network of author keywords using 1147, all the articles that he downloaded are shown. To accomplish this, best practices proposed by Van Eck and Wortman, that's the guys who invented the voice viewer software. And then other studies also from some of these people were adopted. The type of analysis. So we come here. So always choose, the first thing is you choose your type of analysis. You choose what kind of analysis do you want to do. The type of analysis that we want to do is called co-occurrence. Okay, so he did that. And what did he do again? So he chose co-occurrence, and then was set to co-occurrence. The counting method was set to fractional counting, and the unit of analysis was restricted to author keywords. Okay, so I told you the last time, full counting means you want to count everything, but fractional counting means that you want to share it with the other authors as to the kind of contribution that they made to this kind of analysis. But this one, when it comes to the full one, you want to attribute, you can put everything together and then just attribute it to all of them, like all of them together. But the full one will, the fractional one will go into details as what the kind of contribution that each of the authors contributed to the analysis. But in this case, we are dealing with keywords. So how each of the keywords contributed or is related to the analysis that you are doing. Why are we using this of analysis author keyword? To me, the reason why you have to use author analysis, author keywords is that it's an author of an article who knows the content. The author of an article who knows the content of the article. That's how come he will end up putting some keywords after the abstract. Okay, because he or she knows that, okay, this article is about so and so, and therefore these keywords fit better for my article. So to me, it's better you use the author keywords. If you want to use all the keywords and index keywords, sometimes it's a little bit, to me, it doesn't really represent what the author wanted to communicate to the world. So to me, I agree with Rooney. It's good to use the alter keywords. By default, the minimum number of occurrences of a keyword was set to 5. So once again, here we can also see what we did. Okay. So here is set to 5, but you can decide to change it to 10, 20, whatever, and all that. But with respect to the keywords, I think it's always good you leave it as it is, because with the keywords, you want to know more. Okay. But once again, you can decide to reduce it so that you can get maybe the top 10 keywords or 20 keywords or something. It depends on you. So if I'm going to set it to 20, that means 11. Because we are going to have the top 11 keywords. Yeah, make it like 10 or 5. Bring it back to 5. Yeah. Here too, you are given the opportunity to make your own selection, choose. So these are the keywords that will come up. If you want to export it, once again, don't forget, you can export all or the selected, but here it's all selected. So any of them is acceptable. Export occurrence relationship. Yeah. Export keywords. Export this, can export all of them. You click on finish, and this is how the thing will come. This is going to be the output. How it's going to be visualized. Okay, so we have this. And then we move on, we keep on going. Oh, we didn't choose a fractional counting. I decided to show it in full counting. Let's see how it'll come out if I'm going to show it with fractional counting. Right? Okay, I choose fractional counting, but what about if I choose to show full counting? How is it going to be like? You won't see much changes, but yeah, you won't see much changes. While the other one is more probability based, the other one is more fractional based. Okay. Probability fraction, and then holistic analysis of the outcomes. Okay, by default, okay, from this, a co-author network of the keywords as shown in figure 4, as well as the total occurrences and total length string were generated. So I think with respect to this, he didn't really worry himself. He just took the ones which came, talking about this, he didn't really worry himself going to look at total length, strength, average, so and so, blah, blah, blah. He just, this one that he exported is the one that he has just presented here. And he chose to present the top, how many? 25, good. 25. Based on the number of currencies in total, the top 25 frequently use keywords as shown in table 2. So here we have 127. We can't show all. So we have to show some of them. 25 or something, or something of them, that's fine. Keep on going. The size of the keyword reflects the number of times it appeared as an author keyword in 1147 research articles. Also, closely located keywords indicate their co-occurrence in research articles. For instance, the keywords sustainability, green buildings, and sustainable construction, as well as sustainable development, sustainable building, and LEED have distinctly larger notes than the rest of the keywords. Also, different clusters of keywords were grouped by colors. Each cluster denotes keywords that are mostly frequently co-occurred. For instance, keywords such as thermal comfort, natural ventilation, indoor air quality, green building, daylighting, and post-occupancy evaluation frequently co-occurred. These are represented by the green color, and it is impressive because all such keywords are measures of indoor environmental performance in post-occupancy evaluation. Good. So once again, it is like how we did it for the journals. The clusters also show how these things work together. Okay, so for example, the one that he presented, he concluded by saying they are all related to the measurement of indoor environmental performance in post-occupancy evaluations.
Okay, maybe yours, another one can be performance of something, or it can be the ratings, it can be the construction, it can be the design, it can be the architectural something. So this is also easy to explain. Then he went ahead this time around also to do the Pearson product moment correlation coefficient once again. So he did that, and then he got 0.989, which was significant. Okay, I used a simple, let me go back again and do something. Okay. Okay, not this one. Because some of them are supposed to give you an option where you choose the significance level. This one is not showing. I can decide to test it with more descriptive. I can decide to do it with ANOVA. Okay, two sample assuming equal variances. Okay. Or any of the ANOVA as a t-test. I also decide to do ANOVA. It's ANOVA in there. Okay, single factor. ANOVA. Yep. So I want to do quick ANOVA and see what will be the outcome. Okay. Yeah. Oh. This thing not working. Okay, I'm going to do this way. Okay, and then 0.05, yeah. Oh, yeah, it should overwrite. This thing being too difficult and hard. I want the thing to overwrite. Okay, something like this. That's what I wanted to show to you. And you can see that the F is significant. The F critical is more than 1.96. And the F, or the F is 17 something. And then the p-value is 0.26, which is more than 0.05. So this is significant, and anything that you say initially, you have to reject it and then move on to accept the other one. So there's a significant relationship. If you are looking at it from the point of the two, it means there is a significant. It depends on what you state as significant or not significant. It depends on your null hypothesis and then your alternative hypothesis. Okay. Yeah, but there's that kind of significance, or that kind of should I use the word significant? There's that kind of relationship between the two of them. That's what I'm saying. Okay, let's keep going. So you can do the same and all that he did and then explain. Okay, so we are done. So you can see that once you understand the general one that I took my time to explain it, the rest, they follow almost the same thing that he did for the general analysis. Now we come to the co-authorship network analysis. So with this one, we want to look at the authors. The focus on this one is just for the authors. So that with respect to the authors, the question once again is, how do we go about this? So first, you need to explain to us why you think this analysis is important. Why are you presenting this analysis? Okay, so how do you go about that? The minimum number of research articles in citation was set at 5 and all that. So we come here once again to our vault viewer. You click on create a map on bibliographic database, next, and then you select the type of analysis. This time around is co-authorship. In fact, if I am going to do this, the first thing I will do is a co-authorship. In fact, I'll do this co-authorship thing before I even come to the journals, but it depends on what the author want to do. It depends on the author's own discretion. It's not that you have to follow a certain format. It's not that you have to do general analysis first before you come to citations, before you go to Google occurrence, graphic coupling, and all that. It depends on whatever you choose to do. It's up to you. Okay, so authors, you choose authors, and then what again? The minimum number was 5 and 65 in terms of citations. Only 25 authors and 15 documents met the threshold. These 25 authors were among the 2,676. So we can present all the 2,676 authors on the table. It's not possible. That's how come he came about with this criteria, so that it can reduce them to a level which he can present. Since there was a restriction on the number of articles and citations, Figure 5 effectively displayed the collaborations of the most contributing and influential researchers in the green building discourse. The citations and normalized citations and total link strength. So here too, he did the average normalized citations that we did with other the general analysis. Okay, he did the same. So let's go and look at it, and it's going to help us. Okay, so we have this. We can decide to go for full counting or fractional counting. Any of them is acceptable. So he decided to set it as 5. But when it comes to the citations, he decided to set them as 65. I don't have so many, so I will make it, let me make it 60, 50. Yeah, 50, at least. An author should have published at least 5 papers on green building, and that author should have at least received 50 citations. That's our criteria for this. It depends on your own. So you decide, choose 29 made this, and these are the 29. So we also export this one, just like how we did it for the general analysis. Okay, so click on this, export. Okay, then you click on finish. Yes, and this is what you will get. Okay, so it will come this way. Okay, good. Then the interpretations will follow. Because don't present only the tables and the diagrams. You need to explain to us why the tables and the diagrams are important. 5 clusters of productive and collaborative researchers emerged. So let's look at ours. Ours rather is 6 clusters. Okay, and why are they together? So he gave examples of some of the collaborations, and he mentioned that their collaboration is regional. This is where I mentioned that some of the authors, because of where they are, it's likely authors in Australia, it's highly possible that they'll collaborate with authors in Australia to write a research paper. Like myself, it's easy for me to collaborate with people like Dr. Augustine, Goslav, and some of these people in Western Sydney than maybe to collaborate with other people outside my university. Okay, that's what he's saying. So it's regional, like those within the same territory of Hong Kong, between John Q University and Hong Kong Polytechnic University. Again, something. Vivian Tan, our own Professor Vivian Tan, he's here. He's our ADR director. Yeah, he is a woman. Let me show you quickly. Oh, Professor Vivian Tan. She has published a number of papers, and she's a firebrand researcher. She's somebody I really respect, and I follow her a lot. She's also our ADR director in Western Sydney here. She's the one. Okay. So her name has also been mentioned in this article, and she has also collaborated with a number of researchers. Okay. And then who again? Another collaboration. So it said these are the most influential collaborative researchers within the entire network. These collaborations were mostly intra-institutional, within or among departments, and inter-institutional. For example, in your department, it's likely that people like, I think there's a professor called Adinyera or something. I think I've read something like that. It's likely that professor is likely to collaborate and work with somebody like Usumenu. Or I think there's somebody called Baden. I'm sorry, I don't know any of your professors like one-to-one or personally, but I've read a lot of things about them, and I've also, I don't say I have heard, but to me I have read. As for hearing, I've I've also heard. I'll say I've heard some things about them, but when some things positive things, none of them is negative. So far, I've heard positive things, and I've read their papers, and I've even cited them. Yes. So it's likely people who are within the same institution, the same department, they are likely to collaborate and cite themselves. It's highly possible. So this is not surprising that we are seeing this in this article. Some of the collaborations could also be cross-departmental, institutional, and international. The clusters could reflect similar research interests. Even the research interest can also be the reason why they're also in the same cluster. Because maybe, if, for example, if they're all working on green buildings, then it's likely they will be together. If they are working on indoor quality, indoor occupancy quality, they are working on construction safety. If they are working on why projects fail, if they are working on artificial intelligence, if they are working on BIM, building information modeling and all that, it's likely they will collaborate and work together. And even sometimes irrespective of where they are. Within the clusters, a quantitative summary of the numerical indices and co-authorship is presented in Table 3. And once again, it's the same as the general one. In this context, the normalized citation is simply a measure of the total number of students. This is where he explains what the normalized citation is. What is normalized citation? It's simply a measure of the total number of citations recorded by an author in an average year. So on the average, so in a year, how many citations did you get? That's the normalization of the citation standardizes the tendency of older articles having the opportunity of being cited higher than recent ones. It's true. A paper which has been around, let's say 20, 30 years, and I mean, if it is a good paper, it's likely to receive, or it's possible it has received more citations than a paper which was just recently published last year or just 5 days ago. Okay. Although some of the collaborative authors are not visible in the network due to the edges restriction, authors who meet the threshold are shown in Table 3. Okay. All these things are just additional explanations. You can quickly skip. Yeah, he's just trying to say some of them did not appear, they were not visible here. Okay, but they have, or their influence is big. It's possible because sometimes the software will hide them. That's why I think it's always good you look at the table. The table will give you a better picture of the results compared to the diagram, the visualized diagram. A cross-analysis of the research interest of the researchers showed that these people, as Go, PS, and Chen, share a similar interest in green building policy, but their collaboration is not reflected in Figure 5. Good. This may be due to documents and citations restriction. Okay. In Table 3, further analysis can be made. Out of the 13 articles published by Darkon, 11 total have been collaborative within their cluster. In other words, Darkon's paper has received a further collaboration in terms of how authors cite them within other clusters. Again, Zan collaborated in 8 out of the 13 published articles within their cluster. Wow. So these are some of the additional things that you can look at. However, Ko, Bourbon, Wang, and Liu had no collaborative researchers within their network. Although they met the threshold of 5 articles in 65, this is because their collaborators did not meet the threshold of 5 articles. So it's possible you can be in a cluster, okay, where you meet the criteria that we set. But it's possible none of your collaborators, okay, have the same qualification as you have. Yeah, it's possible, yeah. I will not go further. This is because their collaborators do not meet the threshold of this. In Table 3, the top 4 most collaborative researchers include Darkon, Chan, Stang, and Shen.
total link strength of this. A correlation analysis shows that total number of research articles has a significant positive relationship with the total size. So here too, he did the Pearson moment product correlation coefficient thing again. He conducted that, and he's explaining them here. Depending on the measure of productivity, the ranking of the researchers differs significantly. And based on overall impact, the top 4 researchers include this, that. So he once again repeating those who came on top in terms of the research. Then he based on normalized citations, based on documents, based on normalized citations, based on average citations, based on the total citations, which of them came on top. And that is what he has explained also here. Now let's come to article citation network analysis. This one is about the articles themselves. It's also called document citation analysis. Document citation analysis. Document citation analysis. Document citation analysis. What is it about? So this is also called document citation analysis. Document citation. So what is it about? So here, this is where we look at the articles, each of the articles, the number of citations that they have received. So for example, I'm just going to give you an example. If you take an article like one of the articles published by my supervisor, for example, Robert Oseiche, an article that he published in 2015, for example, that article has received 868 articles. So this is an individual. This article alone has received 868 citations. It's called individual, or I don't know, use the word individual, but I would say this is related to the document citation. The document citation. So we are not looking at all the citations on articles from one journal, but we are picking each of the articles and we are looking at how each of the articles they have been cited. Is that clear? So each of the articles, we want to know how these have been cited. So if you take Robert Oseiche's profile, for example, one of his papers has received 868 citations. Another paper that he wrote has received 192 citations. Another paper that he wrote has received 160 citations. Another paper that he wrote has received 155 citations. Another paper that he wrote has received 135 citations. Another paper that he wrote has received 124 citations. Another paper that he collaborated with has received 120 citations. Another paper that he 88 citations, 87 citations, 73, 72, 70, 64, 57, 56, 52, 51, 48, 42, 41, 38, 35, 33, 32, 26, 26 again, 26, 25, 23, 22, 23, another, okay, 23, 22, 21, 20, 20, 20, another 20, 18, any other paper, 18, 18, 17, 17, 16, 16, 16, 16, 15, 13, 13, any other, 12, 11, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 9, 8, 8, 7, 7, 7, 6, 6, 6, 6, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. So, you know, what I'm trying to say is this is what we call the individual article citation analysis. We are just trying to look at each of the article, the number of citations that they have received. So how do you go about this? So this is very simple. You come to create, and then you choose the type of analysis that you have to choose. is citation, and it will give you the document. Okay, it will give you document source, authors, organization. You can choose document. Then click next. And then the minimum number of citations. Here too, you can set the minimum number of citations to, let's say, 20. I'll set it at 20. Next, and then I'll just click on finish. Oh, it says to show all. Yes. Let's see how it go. Okay, so this is showing the articles which have been published within the period that we are looking at and how they have been cited. Let me keep on going. So here too, you have to tell us why this analysis is important. Then you go ahead to give us the criteria of inclusion of articles. So here he said the pegging the minimum of number of citations to 65. Minimum citation will be 65. And 78 of them met the threshold. Only 48 of the connected to, okay. Yeah, so just as we saw it, like this one, we're just talking about this. When you get here, it will tell you not all the, he's talking about this. Not all the articles are connected. Actually, 287 are really, really connected. These are the ones that you want to show and you say yes. If no, then you show all the 1,000. That is what he's talking about. So he did that. Then he went ahead to show, he said he showed a density map of these articles is shown in figure 6. Okay, so he rather decided to show the density. We have shown this one. And he went ahead to say that the influence of an article is assessed by its total citations. Normal citation is linked with other articles, just like how we saw it in the source or journal analysis. The same. Normalized citations, total link strength, total citations, then the total number of articles. But with this one, I think there'll be no need for the total articles because actually we are looking at articles. So it's not that will not appear. Let me show you. You don't need that. We just need straight away because that here we are not looking at total number of articles, but rather we are analyzing each article, each of them. Some of the things will not appear, but the rest you have to do the rest. Okay. And he went ahead to explain that the influence of an article is assessed by its total citations and it's linked with other articles. In table 4, the top 20 most influential research articles in green building based on citations are shown. These articles span from 1997 to 2001. From figure 6, the top 5 landmark articles include WANC, this and that and that. Indeed, the multi-objective optimization model developed by WANC can be used to effectively assess life cycle environmental impact during the conceptual design stage of buildings. The classic study of Hose et al. Noted that the behavior of occupants have a significant influence on their indoor environmental performance of green building and should be given due consideration at the design stage. As part of the early studies on sustainable construction, Hill and Bowen developed an all-encompassing framework for pursuing sustainable construction targets. This group consists of 4 more recent and 1 older article. So he decided to explain the tips and just an aspect, small aspect of what the top journals presented. Okay, So if you take one of the articles of Sechi, okay, so we want to know, for example, this article, what is it about? What is this article about? So that's what he presented. Okay, so this article is about critical success factors, and then he looked at the global critical success factors on PPP, and then he went ahead by saying that this study will serve as a checklist for PPP practitioners and researchers. Yeah, something simple to help us to know what the article is about. Then he went ahead to show the article title, citation, normalized citations, and links. Okay, so all these things I've shown them to you already. When using the normalized citation metrics, sorry, however, using the normalized citation metrics reveal a different pattern of the most influential articles. Yeah, so here too, you can decide to explain the top cited articles based on the number of citations. You can also decide to use the normalized citation to explain, and then you can also decide to use the links. He has done that, and all that. What again? Yeah, so I think that's what all that he did, and I think he concluded by once again doing the Pearson moment product correlation thing. Yeah, I think he did that one again. He did linear association between the total citations and then the normalized citations, which showed a weaker or a weak relationship between the two. Even also showing an insignificant, which there is the coefficient is also insignificant as well. No significant linear relationship. Yeah. Active countries in the GB. So here too, we are going to look at from the point of countries. Okay, so we want to know which countries are contributing to the research on green buildings. So here too, you need to explain to us why this analysis is important. You need to tell us why this is important. Then you go ahead to choose your threshold criteria, or what you are going to use to limit the resource. But first, you need to choose the type of analysis. So what analysis are we going to use? So you can decide to use citations. You can get the countries from here. Or you can decide to use a co-authorship, which in this case is also it's talking about where the authors are coming from. But I would prefer more of the citations. To me, the citations are better. Yeah, but you may also decide to choose the co-authorship, where the authors are coming from, the institutions in which the papers were published, where the papers came from. Table 5, the contribution of the various countries to the GB success. Figure 7 was generated by setting the minimum number of documents and citation of a country to 5 and 20 respectively. Out of the 85 countries in the GB, 38 met the threshold. Effectively, about 44% of all countries in the world are involved in the GB. That's what he is. He's just trying to extrapolate and make a suggestion, but it doesn't mean in reality that's true. It's just research, so it is based on estimation. It's just an estimate. And in reality, it may not be so. It may be fewer than what he has presented. For instance, the US, UK, China, and Hong Kong, Australia, and Canada are represented by a larger note than the rest of the territories. Also, 4 clusters of the most productive countries emerge. The United Kingdom, Singapore, South Africa, Lithuania, Chile, New Zealand, and the Netherlands belong to one cluster, represented by the green color. Other clusters are represented by different colors. There might be some geographical and geopolitical issues between and among countries, but these clusters are generated based on collaboration, co-citations, or similarity in research areas. Once again, there are many reasons why the clusters are formed based on so many things. It could even be cultural. The court. It's likely that white Europeans, it's likely they will work together like a white Netherlands. He will have to work with somebody from Germany than working with any other person from any other part of the world. So it could be cultural. There are many reasons why these authors and countries and all that, they work on something. There are many things driving this. It's not only collaboration, co-citations, and similarity in research areas. It can come from so many things. It can come from so many things. The reason can be so many. There are so many reasons why these things are done. Okay, based on the number of articles and total citations, a consistent ranking pattern emerged. In the context of both metrics, the United States with UK, the US, UK, China, Australia, and Hong Kong are the most productive economies in the green building research. A slightly different ranking pattern is observed when analyzed through the lenses of normalized citations. And at this, the US, China, Hong Kong, Australia, and UK are the most influential contributing countries in the GB research. These are still the top 5 countries based on the number of articles and total citations, but the order differs slightly. Their superior influences are expected because these economies have green building policies and rating systems. Thus, research and studies were required to guide the implementation and evaluation of their progress. Apart from South Africa, South America, each continent has at least one country actively contributing to GB research discourse. The reported non-contribution from South America could be due to the language restriction in English during the bibliometric data retrieval. The least contributing continent is Africa, only South Africa, and the most contributing continent is 9 countries in terms of numbers. Effectively, the global north is making a greater national and regional commitment to the GB research than the global south. Global north in this context is talking about, normally we use it to represent the developed countries, and then the global south we use it to represent the developing country. I agree with him with respect to the South America. With respect to the South America, yes, it's true, it's possible that countries from South America are likely to be excluded from this research. Why? Because most of the countries in South America, either they use Spanish or they use Portuguese. So even if they have published articles on green buildings, they are in Portuguese or in Spanish. And when we are downloading the articles from Scopus and Web of Science and all that, we restrict the search to only English language. So even articles which were published in Chinese and all that, we exclude them, which is another bias or another limitation which you have to talk about when you are concluding the article. You need to talk about it. You need to say that yes, you have that bias. You are biased, or you are showing some kind of bias in this. So 50 in this context, 50 need this. Let me show the 50. Yeah. So they're the countries. So how many clusters in this case? If you look at my cluster is 9. 50 countries, even Ghana is here. And Ghana is within those of the clusters. Ghana is in cluster 4, Germany, India, Iran, Mexico. And there could be a reason why we are in that. Okay, yeah, let's keep on going. Okay, so that's it for the, and then major green building research. So we are done, but I told you in the first video that there are other analysis that you can also do. For example, I can also decide to do institutional analysis, where I look at this from the point of organizations or research centers like KUST, Legon, and all that undertook this kind of research. So you can decide to do this analysis. And it's with respect to institutional analysis, if I decide to limit it to 4, for example, 2, these are the organizations I'm getting. Faculty of Building, blah, 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 and all that. Okay, Department of Construction. Let me bring, or let me present everything. Let me decide to present everything here and see what will happen. Because I'm deciding to showcase. No, I want to show the 600. I want to show something. Don't give me. Yeah, so these are the centers or the universities that are into green building research. I think Kenya University is some of the Department of Construction Technology. Yeah, that's it. If you look at the down there. Kenya University is featuring prominently your department in this area of research, which is a good thing, which I applauded you in the other video. So you can decide to do this analysis too. It's also acceptable, but when he chose not to do that. But you can decide to do it. Okay. Another analysis too that you can decide to do is you can look at it from the close citation analysis point of view. The reason of how the references were cited, or how the journals were cited, or how the authors were cited, in terms of how if somebody cites this paper, he will cite another paper and all that. So you can decide to do that, and that is also acceptable. And then you can also decide to do bibliographic coupling, which I explained to you the other time. Okay. How 2 papers are going to cite 1 article. I explained this one to you the last time. So there are a number of analysis here that you can decide. But the last question is, so Isaac, am I supposed to do all these analysis if I choose to do, or no? You can decide to do some of them, the ones that you think they are relevant. To me, 3, 4, maximum 5 the analysis are okay, that are important, like what really has that. And then you spend time to explain them very well. It's not compulsory, you have to show everything. Okay, now we come to the major building research areas. So that this is the last part of the work, and then we are done for today. Then I think I have to spend time and do another video where I can take you through how I came about the other thing that we are going to write. Okay, so I think I need to do another video again, and the 3rd video I need to, because I need to help you to know how I'll come about getting like, for example, this one. Now let me show you a scientometric analysis of studies on public-private partnership in attainment of sustainable development goals. I actually have the template. I've written on so many things already. Okay, I've already done this thing already. So what we need to do is to just write about it. Even the introduction and some of the things that are already done. Okay. Okay, so what I need to do is to undertake the analysis, just like how I've taken you through in the voice viewer, and then present them here. But before I will do that, I want to put together a video and show you how I came about the diagrams and the tables. Okay, because I don't want you to start writing on something that you don't know how I arrived at the diagrams and the tables. It will look funny, and it will look some way. it will even be like I just concocted and then just came up about something and just put it out there. It's something that is not real genuine. I want it to be real genuine so that when you are following it, you'll be okay, or you're going to be okay. Active countries in the GB research. Okay, so based on regions, some countries contribute higher than others. Oh, yeah, this one already. Major green building research area. So this is the part that you have to explain. What did you see or identify in the article, the 1,148 or so articles? 47. It's hard to read through. And the other day, I recommended one guy's article to you, which is, he's called Deborah. His paper on artificial intelligence and green building, he did a good job by demonstrating how he went further after he has done the voice view analysis to read some of the articles. So what he did was that, for example, these articles, these are the top articles. So he decided to read, I think, the first 12 or the top 10 articles, which have been highly cited. He read them into details and then identified the relevant issues that were discussed in those articles. And then he summarized them and presented them. That's what he did. That's one approach. Another approach is what Wuni has presented here, where instead of doing what Caleb Debra did in the green AI, green building, this is here, AI green building thing. This is the paper that I'm talking about. Instead of doing what Caleb Debra did, what Wuni has done here in this paper, he went ahead to do some kind of analysis. And what analysis did he do? Okay, so let's look at it. He went to analyzing the keywords holistically. So he had to analyze the keywords. And based on the analysis of the keywords, then he came out with the groupings of key issues that he think the articles they talked about. So the session, okay, he did the binary counting method was selected based on the best practice. And then, okay, so he came here. Let's come here. Create, but this time around, instead of using create a map-based bibliographic database, he decided to use create a map based on text data. Okay, then he went to, because that is the one that shows a co-occurrence, which is co-occurrence is related to keywords. Instead of using this one, he decided to use this. Then next, he decides to, good. So here it will ask you the kind of data that you are using to do this. Is it data from voice viewer files or data from bibliographic data? So here, once again, you can use our bibliographic data. Okay. And then from where? So we choose, once again, the same data that we used for the other one. Okay. The next. Good. So here, this is where we have come to. What did he do again? So although code network, the network was generated only using author keyword. This session analyzed all the keywords within the 104. The binary counting method was selected based on the best practice. That's one of them. Okay. So that's also one. After further computation of the keywords, the 60% is what we identified that were critically analyzed. Group into research areas. Using this approach, what are different methods from? Okay, so here there are two things that is being seen. Either you use the test base as I'm using here, okay, where you can decide to select. That's also what I've also seen in other papers. I'll come back to what you use. Where you can decide to fields from which terms will be extracted, titles and abstract fields. or title field or abstract. I'll decide to use both. Okay. Then, so I'm going to extract. So this time around, we are trying to find out what the study said by using their abstracts and the titles. Okay, that's also another one I have seen in another paper. Okay, and then it will ask you how are you going to do this? You say, is it binary counting or full counting? So in Winnie's case, he decided to use binary counting, which is not the same as this because this is test-based analysis. But other studies I've seen they use full counting. So binary, and then you get this number of key terms occurring. I want the one which is at least 5. Click on next. Next. At this point, it will just give you the same thing as we have seen so far in the other ones. Okay, good. Finish. Yeah, so this is how it will come. And here too, it will form clusters. How many clusters are we seeing? 4 clusters. Good. So with the 4 clusters, we need to look at the pattern and the words. So we have something that we call coding. Some of you maybe have done it before, coding, and from coding you can come out with your teams and you go ahead to analyze them. Normally that one is called, some studies call it content analysis, others call it thematic analysis. So based on these keywords and the clusters that they come under, you can form a title, a cluster name. You can give it a cluster name. Cluster 1, what would be the name? Cluster 2, what would be the name? Cluster 3, what would be the name? You get it? That's what you have to do. Now, let's come back to what Winnie did. So this is what another paper, that's the method that they use. But you can also decide to use what Winnie did. So with respect to Winnie's case, he decides to use all the keywords, which is almost the same as what we have just done. So let's look at something here. So 5. Let's do 4. Next, and then finish. Yeah. So this one too, how many clusters are we getting? We are getting, I think 9. Okay. So that makes the other approach better. Personally, I think the other approach I presented to you guys is better. The one that the other papers have used, I think it's better than you only using all the keyword. Yes, we'll get a result, but you use the test base. Yeah, I think he combined, based on what I've seen, he combined both the test base and this one to arrive at this result. Okay, so he got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or so 10. Yeah, 10 clusters. Then he gave them names. So how did he come about the names? Here too is based on your own discretion as a researcher. You look at the words that are running through each of the clusters, and then you just create. So here be a little bit innovative, creative. Okay, they are all talking about, let's say, BIM. You say something about it in terms of BIM. They are all talking about IT. You present something concerning IT. And then what did he do again? He went ahead to explain each of the clusters, what they mean. And actually that was the end. And then finally, he decided to present the gaps and and then the recommendations for future research and practice, which I will talk about it in the next video. So I think we are almost done. When I say we are almost done, I mean this article, we are almost done going through it. And so far, so good. If in case any of you have any question, please get back to me. Get back to me. I'll be happy to work with you to explain some of the things to you in case though you didn't get it. And if you also need data, as I mentioned in the other video, do well to contact me. I'll do my best to send you the data so that you can also practice some of them yourself. I'll end here, and I'm ending here, and I wish everybody the best. I'll come your way again, hopefully next week, not this week. It is going to be next week, God willing, which I believe by then you should have watched the other video. Then I'll take you through how I ended up getting the figures, the tables, and the diagrams for this new article that we are going to write. So the article that we are going to write is the title, Scientometric Review, or which I will change it to Bibliometric Review of Studies on Public-Private Partnerships in Attainment of Sustainable Development Goals. Yeah, and these are the targeted journals I want us to take the paper to. Technology Design in Construction, Journal of Technology Design in Construction. Sustainable Development and Habitat. They are very top journals. Okay, so I wish everybody the best and God bless you. And I know I mentioned it I put it on the platform that I know the video is very long, but please do your best. Watch it small. The most important thing is to follow this, chop it, eat it small, and get filled up. I wish you the best. God bless you. Take care and bye-bye.